Welcome back. In this section, we're going to be setting up our WordPress install and downloading and installing the Elementor page builder and our theme. So let's jump in. I'm here on my desktop and I'll open up local. And once I'm in here, I'll make sure to turn my site on by clicking it over here in the left and hitting Start Site up in the right. And now our server's running locally on our computer. So we'll click this admin button to log in, and that'll open us up in our browser. We'll type in our username and password. And we'll log in. I won't have Google save my password for now. So here we are on the dashboard, and we're going to make our way through the panel on the left here. We went over most of the WordPress dashboard in the last section, but now we're going to set up some customization and just configuring our WordPress, cleaning it up a little bit, and kind of setting up a clean slate so we can begin building our site. Here on the main dashboard, this looks a little bit messy to me. This dashboard is used to provide bits of information about different aspects of the site, but actually we won't be using many of those. So what we're going to do is we'll dismiss this up at the top, and then we'll click this Screen Options button up here to show us a drop-down where we can deselect these and clean up this dashboard again. So we'll leave it like that. You can leave any of those up if you'd like. And now we'll work our way down this left side. So click on Posts, and here there's a sample post that WordPress comes pre-installed with. We're actually just going to delete that by hitting this trash button here and taking it out so we can start fresh when we set up our blog in a later section. We're going to move down here to Pages. And we're also going to delete this sample page as well. You'll notice another page here that's a draft, and it's called the Privacy Policy page. WordPress comes pre-installed with this now, and depending on what part of the world you live in, you may need to have a privacy policy page. I'll provide some more info in the resources about this since it depends on kind of where you live in the world, but this is a draft page, and we can take a look real quick by hitting Preview. And this is WordPress's template for you to use. That just kind of helps visitors understand how you use any information they may share with the site. So again, depending on where you live, you may need to configure this a little bit, customize it to your needs, and post it on your site. For now, we'll go back. We'll leave that there as a draft. We'll move down to comments. And there are no comments on the site right now. Sometimes WordPress has a pre-installed comment. If it is there for you, you may want to delete it just by clicking that same trash button again. Down under Appearance, we'll now go to Themes. And WordPress comes pre-installed with these different themes, and they're named after different years when they came out. We're actually going to delete 2 of them and leave 1 of them. So we'll go back to the earliest ones, 2017, and hit Theme Details. And then we'll go down here to the bottom right and click Delete. Click OK. And that theme's gone. We'll do the same thing for 2019. We'll hit delete and we'll hit OK. We're going to leave 2020 installed. We're going to install another theme later that we'll use for our actual project, but it's good to have kind of the default backup theme there in case anything should happen to your regular theme. WordPress will default to this one, or we can switch to this one. So we're going to leave it there for now. Now we'll skip down here. We don't need to look at anything in the plugins or users or tools panels, but we'll come down here to settings and we'll start here on our general settings. Now for this sample project, we won't use a tagline. If your project or if you're building a custom site and you kind of have a tagline for your business or blog, you can type it in here and it'll show up in the tab in your browser and a couple other places. But for this project, we'll just delete it. And now we'll do something really important. If you remember when we set up local, we actually turned on the SSL or the security feature to make sure that that little padlock showed up and we weren't seeing this not secure indicator up here. So we're actually going to do that now by adding simply an S here. So HTTPS and HTTPS to make this WordPress install point towards the secure URL that we're using. Now, before we hit save, we'll go down here and we'll change a couple other things. Let's change our time zone. Here, if you know your UTC time, you can click it there, or you can search for a city. So I'm in the Central Time Zone right now in the United States, so I'll click Chicago. That's in my same time zone. You can change the way a date is formatted. If you're in a part of the world that uses a different format of a date, you can click that here. We'll leave it as this top one for this project. And same thing with the time. You can also select which day of the week you'd like WordPress to say is the first day of the week. So it comes default for Monday. I'll change it to Sunday since that's what I consider the first day of the week. And I might be posting some blog entries then that I consider to be for that week. So now when we hit Save Changes, it may log us out because we changed that HTTPS. So let's see what happens here. Yep, so it logged us out, and now we'll simply log back in to activate that secure feature. Click Login, and now you can see up here in the address bar, we have the secure lock. So that's great. If we move under writing, we're not going to change anything there, and same with reading. We'll come back here later on. Under discussion, this is where you'll specify whether or not you want comments on your website, and then configure some specifics about those comments and how you want to manage those. For this site, we will have comments on, so you can see what that looks like, but if your site doesn't have a blog or require comments, I'd suggest you come down here and, actually, I'm sorry, up here at the top, and click this third one down to toggle off the comments. We'll leave it on for this course. Same thing for media, nothing we need to change here. Now on to the permalinks section. This is where you specify how you want addresses or URLs to work on your website. So the default way WordPress uses this is when you make a blog post or a page, you'll type in your regular URL and then a backslash and then the name of your post or page. So we'll keep it, we'd like it to keep it like that, but we will have a blog on our site that uses some categories. So actually what we're going to do is change it to custom structure by clicking this and then heading over here, and this is where you can build kind of your own naming structure for your URLs. So we'll highlight this post name and we'll delete it. And then we'll come down here and we'll say that on our website, we'd like to type in the URL and then put a backslash and the category. So just click category to add that, and then a slash, and then our post name. So you'll see in a later section when we set up our blog how this works. But for now, this is how we're going to configure this for ease of use and just to have a structure we can easily understand when we need to type a link to a blog post or share it with somebody else. So we'll come down here and click Save Changes. And that's it. Now we have a fresh and cleaned up install of WordPress. In the next video, we're going to take a look at one of the greatest and most amazing add-ons to WordPress ever, the Elementor Page Builder. See you then. Welcome back. In this video, we're going to take a look at quite possibly one of the most amazing things to ever happen to WordPress and a tool we're going to use throughout the rest of this course, the Elementor Page Builder. On its own, WordPress excels as a content management system, but is fairly underpowered as a visual design tool. It just isn't made for the dynamic, media-rich, responsive pages that are so popular today. From the beginning of WordPress's history, the only real way to truly customize the design of a WordPress site was to do what regular web designers did. Use PHP, the language WordPress is written in, along with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. Outside of that, your only option was to download a theme that came preloaded with some different pages and allowed for some customization, or add some plugins that opened up new functionality to the site. You could combine themes and plugins with the limited design customization you could pull off inside the new page or post interface in WordPress, and that was all pretty limiting. As the number of WordPress users grew and more developers began developing more and more robust and feature-rich themes and plugins, a new kind of plugin became popular, the Page Builder. Page Builder plugins are just what they sound like. Plugins that allow you to actually build a page and piece together content the way you want it to display. Early page builders basically enhanced or supercharged the built-in page editor and looked something like this. This definitely opened the door for a huge amount of customization, but it meant that building a page took a long time. These page builders still required you to save and then open the page in a new browser window to see how everything looked each time you made a change. As technology continued to evolve and plugins grew in their complexity and capabilities, so did page building plugins. There were soon page builders that allowed you to see a visual representation of the page while you were working on it, and in 2016, a page builder hit the scene that has jumped to the top of the charts and become the most used and arguably the most powerful page builder in existence. Elementor, the page builder plugin we're going to use to build our course project. To most WordPress designers who remember the days of major design limitations in WordPress, using Elementor feels like magic. When you're in Elementor, it feels like you're actually interacting with your web page, as you can literally click and drag and customize anything and everything. Another incredibly powerful use of Elementor that we will take advantage of in this course is the ability to export and import individual pages, sections of pages, and even individual elements. This allows us to create faster than ever before, share our pages, and maintain a level of visual consistency that used to take a lot of repetition to create. Global templates and settings in Elementor make things even faster by allowing us to change the look of every button, piece of text, or section on our site with just a single click. Alright, I'm sure you can tell how excited I am about Elementor, so let's move on to the next video, install this awesome plugin, and get to building our website. See you then. Welcome back. Now that you've seen how incredible the Elementor page builder is, let's get it installed on our website so we can start building. To install Elementor, which is a plugin, we'll come over here to the plugins panel, click that, and then we'll click Add New. Now here is the plugins panel. We talked about this back in section 5, but to install a plugin, we'll just go up here, especially if we know the name of it, which we do. We'll type in Elementor, spelled like that, and there it is. It's the first one. So we can click here on more details if we'd like to pull up a window to see a little bit more about it. But we know we want to install it, and we can see down here that it's compatible with our version of WordPress, and it's got 5+ million installations. So let's click Install Now, and it'll download the plugin. And once it's installed, just click Activate. And there you go, Elementor's installed. You can watch some getting started videos if you'd like. We're going to take a quick look over here on the left down the Elementor panel just to get familiar with how it's set up. So if we click on settings, we can see some initial Elementor settings that we'll revisit later on as we get our site set up. Just some general settings, some things related to the style, and some advanced settings. We can also click Role Manager, and this is a feature that in Elementor Pro is much broader, but in this one, at least if there's different users that you set up on your website, you can actually make sure that they don't have access to Elementor if you want to make sure they aren't editing your pages. Under the Tools panel, we'll come back and visit this several times throughout the course, but some basic options here. The option to replace our URL, which we'll do when we move this site from our local computer onto the web. Version control, if we update Elementor to a new version and something breaks, we can always come back here and roll it back to a previous version. Finally, under Tools is Maintenance Mode, which we'll use coming up real soon. This allows us to kind of take our site offline and set up a Coming Soon page, so people who are looking on the internet won't see our site under construction. The System Info panel just shows all the info you could want to see about your install, so if you have some specific needs or questions, you can come here to see kind of how the server's set up specifically. The Getting Started button takes us right back to those series of videos. The Get Help button takes us to the Elementor kind of documentation online, the knowledge base, where you can ask questions and learn more. This is a great resource as you dig in if you run into problems or something like that. Here we can also add custom fonts and icons, but those are also pro features, so we won't be doing that in this course. And then finally a link if we would like to upgrade to Go Pro. So that's it. We've got Elementor installed, and all that's left is to install our theme, which we're going to do in the next video. See you then. Welcome back. In this video, we're going to install the WordPress theme that we are going to use in our course project. As we talked about in an earlier section, there are literally tons of WordPress themes out there that range from basic free themes to really expensive specialized themes for really particular applications. When it comes to themes that utilize Elementor, there's a handful of great ones, and one in particular called Flocks that's my current favorite and is the one we're going to be using in our project. This theme has a ton of features that are built in the free version that'll be a big help to us as we create a custom site from scratch. So here we are in the dashboard. You'll see that when we installed Elementor, we got a new little dialog box here, and I'll keep that one open. We can leave it there to see some news and new features that they may come out with. But to install a theme, we'll go over here to Appearance and go to Themes. And installing a theme is a lot like a plugin. So we'll click Add New up here, and we'll search for our theme. So Phlox is spelled P-H-L-O-X. So we'll search for that, and there it is. And we can go over here, we can hit Details and Preview if we'd like, but we know we'd like to install this, so we'll just click Install, and it'll download the theme. Once it's installed, just like a plugin, we'll click Activate, and that'll take us to the Phlox homepage. So we'll also install this plugin. Some themes come with kind of a helper plugin that will add some items over here on the menu. So we'll see that. We'll click this and wait for it to install. And there we go. So you can see on the left here now in our menu, we see the Phlox edition here with some different options below it. Now these all mirror this top bar here, so we'll go through these quickly. Here's the dashboard where you can link to the documentation or customize it. We'll spend a lot of time customizing this theme in future lectures. So that's what this customization is. The demo importer, Phlox has literally a ton of different sites built into it that you can import. So if you are building a specific kind of site and feel comfortable, you could check those out and import them right into your WordPress install to get a huge head start on building a new site. There's also template kits and plugins that they recommend, tutorials, feedback. We'll look at the system status a little later on. It's great, again, in addition to the Elementor system info, in making sure that everything's installed correctly and running as well as it can. We can also click Updates here or click to download the Pro version of Phlox for some additional features. But in this course, we'll just use the free one. And that's it. We now have WordPress configured, Elementor and our theme installed, and we're ready to start building our site. In the next section, we'll get to work planning out the structure of our site to make building it easier and faster when we get to work. See you then.